For the Christians that are in the house, let me indulge us to pray. Of course, even if you're not Christians, you do pray. So I'd like to indulge us to say a very quick word of prayer. Oh, precious Father, we thank you. Thank you for the Global Educators Retreat. Thank you for everyone here. Thank you for the opportunity you've given to us yet again to convene, to have these most important conversations, to talk about the future of education and in turn the future of our society, the future of this great world, the future of Nigeria, the future of Africa, the future of the global south. Thank you. Thank you for everyone here. Thank you for the conversations that we've had already. Thank you because their minds are fired up. We are fired up for what you have for us. We are fired up for what you have for us. Thank you because as we're about to get into an amazing conversation moving forward right now, and it's gonna be filled with your presence. We're gonna hear you speak so loudly. Speak to our minds. You're gonna speak to our soul. You're gonna speak to our practice. You're going to empower us through your word tonight. And Father, all that you have planned for us with Holy Spirit, nothing will stop it from coming to us. Thank you, because I'm just a vessel and you're going to use my mouth to speak to your people and to speak to real solutions, real issues, real challenges. And at the end of this retreat, we will not just be inspired, but we will also be very empowered to do what you have now inspired us to do. Thank you, Holy Spirit. Thank you, Father, because now you've answered our prayers. In Jesus' name, we have prayed. Amen. Now, let's get started. Good evening, everyone. Once again, I really like to welcome you again, whether you are an educator, a teacher, a school leader, a policymaker, innovator, you're building for education, partners, friends. Join us from Nigeria, from across Africa, the global south, and from around the world. You are welcome. I thank you for being here. Thank you for choosing to spend your time, your attention. Thank you for choosing to spend your conviction with us today at the Global Educators Retreat 5.0. If you are clapping, then you are right. Yeah, if you are clapping, then you are very right. 5.0, when we say Global Educators Retreat 5.0, 5.0 represents 5 years of consistency. 5.0 represents 5 years of dialogue, 5 years of growing, and 5 years of conviction that we cannot let our future be decided by chance. Because, education shapes societies. I'm sure you've heard it before. It was said during the opening that education shapes societies, but educators shape education. And that is why you're here. So this is not just another education conference. There are many education conferences and they are good, they are amazing. But I can tell you, it's not just another education conference. This is a convening of conscience. You see, this conference, this retreat, we're going to be doing an introspection into ourselves, into education, into systems. I'll be breaking it down shortly. But it's a convening of conscience. We're going to be looking into the conscience of every single thing, starting from yourself who is here, representing different sectors or different stakeholders within the education value chain. So if you're here, you are right. Because if truly education shapes society, then those who design education quietly, daily, deliberately are shaping the future. Whether you realize it or not, that's what you're doing. Whether you realize what I just said now or not, you are quietly, deliberately, and daily shaping the future of our world. So I'm glad that you are in the room as we design this future together. Let's begin this conversation by grounding ourselves on why we are truly here. Why is this program happening? Why does the Global Educators Tribe organization exist? And I would recommend that you get a note, because the things that we are sharing, don't let it just pass over your ear, fly over your head. Get a notepad and a pen and write down important things. What you're going to hear me say and everything you're going to hear moving forward, even in this retreat, is going to form, if you can capture them, if you can grab them, they would give you a good foundation for 2026. And we'll be right beside you all along. So why does the Global Educators Tribe organization exist? And to answer this question, I have to take you back to 2020. 2020 was when we started building what is now known as School Now Group. And it wasn't, then we started building it, it wasn't because we wanted to start another education brand. I don't want to get into this conversation, but as a matter of fact, I never wanted to be fully into education, right? We run schools. I've been a part of running, leading a school through several means for over a decade, but I never saw it, and I never not that I didn't want it because it was bad or whatever, but I didn't have that interest. When I say I didn't have the interest, because it was natural, right? If I could help build the school for 10 years without taking salaries, it was because I really loved it. But I never, it wasn't my desire. I'm a capitalist. I want to make money. You know, I'm sure a lot of us can agree, can relate with me. So I studied agriculture in school. That was what I studied originally. You know, I was already doing well. The first company I started was within agriculture, but we had to do something in 2020 because, of course, by 2020, I had already gotten over a decade of experience in the education space, practical experience. There's no part of the school that I have not been in, none. Think about whatever you can think about in the school system. I've done it, from daycare to classroom teaching to administration to school bus driving to hiring, firing. Think about it. I've led the school for that long, right? But I just wanted to do something else. But 2020, something happened. And of course, I'm sure we can all bear witness because we were in Nigeria when it happened. But I don't want to get into that topic so much because we can have a lot of time to talk about it. But really, truly, why we started was because we encountered the same frustration in different forms and across different spaces. Number one, schools were struggling, not for lack of effort, but because of lack of systems. That's number one. Number two, educators were passionate, but they were exhausted and unsupported. Educators, I'm speaking your mind, you can put it in the chats. They were exhausted. They are very passionate, but exhausted and unsupported. Students were full of potential, but very disconnected from opportunity. Everyone was working hard, but everyone was working alone. And we came to a simple but uncomfortable realization. Education does not fail because people don't care. No, people actually care. Education fails because systems don't speak to each other. So School Now Group was never designed to be a single solution. No, it was designed to be a coherent response to a fragmented ecosystem. So at the heart of that response is what I often call the education trifecta. This School Now Group was built to serve the three inseparable stakeholders that must move together if education must work. Are you ready to listen to the stakeholders? First, institutions. Schools, governments, and education-serving organizations. So the edtech platforms, everyone, all the organizations that serve education one way or the other, they are all categorized within institutions. And these are the structures that carry out education, but too often they are running on outdated processes, weak infrastructure, and disconnected tools. Through School Now, we focus on strengthening these institutions with technology infrastructure, digital systems, training and development, and then also strategic partnerships that help education function as a system and not as a struggle. You know, because when institutions are weak, even the best educator burns out. Write it down, that when institutions are weak, even the best educator, you are filled with all the passion in this world, they will still be burned out. The second stakeholders, I'm sure you know who these people are. Teachers, lecturers, school leaders, they are the people I call educators. The people in the classrooms, in the corridors, in the staff rooms, in the communities, you that are on the streets. These are people who translate policy into practice. yet you are often treated as the final step, not the central force. And this is the reason why Global Educators Tribe organization exists. GET, you would say GET, it's not a program. It's a community, it's a platform, it's a movement, and it exists to restore voice, dignity, and agency to educators to help you see yourself not just as employees of a system, but as designers of the future. Because no education reform survives if educators are excluded from its design. And the third are the students. The reason why the institutions exist are the students. The reason why educators show up are the students. The students are the reason why all of this matters. And through Tech School Educational Institution, our Institute of Technology and Entrepreneurship Education, we focus on learners directly, especially the young people, equipping them with future-ready skills, technological literacy, and entrepreneurship thinking. We are raising the next generation of leaders and industry captains, not just to pass exams, but to participate meaningfully in society. Because when students are trained for yesterday, society will pay tomorrow. When students are trained for yesterday, our society will pay for it tomorrow. And here's the truth. There's the truth that binds all these three together: the educator, the institution, and the student. When institutions operate in isolation, educators suffer. When educators are ignored, students are disengaged. When students are disconnected, society destabilizes. Does this paint a picture of what we're seeing today in our world, in our communities, in Nigeria, in Africa, in the global south? That students are disconnected from real reality? But we'll talk about that today. But you see, when institutions, educators, and learners move together, education stops being theoretical. It starts becoming transformative. And that is the vision behind this Kunan group. And that is the reason why GET, the Global Educators Tribe, exists, to ensure educators are never an afterthought. And the reason why the Global Educators Retreat, now in its 5th edition, also exists is to ensure that we do not just react to the future of education, but that we design it together. And you see, that brings me to our theme: future by design, reimagining systems, skills, and society through education. I wish I had the time to ask you some questions. But you see, this theme is not just an aspirational language. It's a warning. I want to tell you ahead of time. I'm going to be, remember I said this is a convening of conscience. So I'm going to be speaking to your conscience. It's a warning, but it's also going to be an invitation. Future by design. These three words, they matter a lot. But why do they matter? It is because the future is not something that is waiting for someone else ahead to create. No. If I ask you what's the future, because we want to dissect this, and you say, what's the future? It's not what you're waiting to create or what we're waiting to, get to. No. The future is being shaped right now. What I do, what you do or do not do, is either shaping the future in our favor or against us. So whether you take action or not, it is still you are designing something. Your presence is design. Your absence is design. Whether you leave it on default state or you decide to take on your life and begin to do something with it, it's still by design. The question is, how will the design come out? The future is being shaped right now. In classrooms, the future is being shaped. In staff rooms, the future is being shaped. In boardrooms, the future is being shaped. In the ministries of education and the commissions, the future is being shaped. In the policy documents, the future is being shaped. Every timetable is a design choice. When you put those classes and you set your timetable for the school and you set it in the way that you set as a school leader, it's a design choice. You need to know what is going to be the outcome of that design. Every curriculum is a design choice. Every workload expectation is a design choice. Every workload expectation on your staff, on the teachers, is a design choice. Every policy delay is also a design choice. So when we say future by design, we are asking, who is designing it? With what assumptions? The question is not, is it being designed? It's being designed. The question is, who is designing it? With what assumptions is this future being designed with, and for whose benefits? Who is going to benefit from it? Is it just going to be, are you designing it for the students who are going to be part of society, or ultimately the leaders or the breakers of society, or are you designing it for yourself? Have you stress tested the systems? Have you stress tested those things that you've had as policies, as systems within the school, within your practice as a teacher? Have you stress tested your way of doing things to see who this thing is really designed for? What is the outcome? Well, let's keep going, because the second part of the theme now says reimagining systems, skills, and society through education. 3 pillars: systems, skills, and society. So let's slow down and unpack it, because this is where the conversation fails a lot. So I want you to please listen, pay rapt attention. I just don't have a lot of time. I would have wanted to ask you a question. What do you understand by systems? Because when we say systems, many people would immediately think government. Once I say system now, you're thinking government. Yes, what would the government do? Immediately, yeah. You're thinking policies. You're thinking ministries. You're thinking regulation. Yes, it matters. Those matters, and those are systems too. But systems are far closer to you than you know. Far closer to you than you know. A system is anything that repeatedly shapes behavior. Let me repeat it again. A system is anything that repeatedly shapes behavior. Anything you do repeatedly enough that it begins to shape your behavior and how you think and see yourself, that is a system, whether you know it or not. I can bring it as simple as when you wake up. When you wake up every day, do you wake up and go into the social media immediately, or you wake up and you say your prayers at a certain time, at another time you are doing this, another time you are doing, and it's a system, and you maintain it that is a system. Or that you wake up and you just don't care, and you do whatever comes up, whatever the day brings. What must be, must be. It is a system. Let me bring it down to education. System is how teachers are evaluated. System is how decisions are made in school. System is how power flows. System is how budgets are prioritized. System is how mistakes are treated. System is how innovation is rewarded or punished. System is how you teach in the classroom. System is how you deliver the everyday learning in that school, in that class, to that student. System. Every school already has a system. Every institution has a system. The real question is, was that system intentionally designed, or was it accidentally accumulated? Did you just arrive to it accidentally? This is where we are. Oh, this is how we saw it. Oh, you're just running. The government throws it on you. You're running. You do this today. Tomorrow you do that. Tomorrow you do that. And you're just doing everything. You're like a walking zombie. Did you design that system? Was it designed for a reason? Or did you just stumble into it? Many challenges educators face today, they're not caused by bad people. Trust me. I used to think this. They don't just have passion for this. But I've realized it's not about the passion. I mean, if you've been part of this program, we've been having 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, every single year we've been having it. We've been talking about passion. We've been talking about fire. I'm still going to talk about passion. But it's not just passion. 2025, the theme of the retreat was Education for Global Transformation, a call for transgenerational leaders. That was speaking directly to educators. For you to become a transgenerational leader, passion is a part of it. But that transformation, that global transformation we want, must come by design. So many challenges educators face today, they were not caused by bad people. They were caused by poorly designed systems that rewarded wrong things. Write it down. Many challenges educators and education itself faces today were not caused by bad people. They were caused by poorly designed systems that reward the wrong things. So what do we mean by skills? The next pillar, skills. What do we mean by skills? Let's talk about skills. And permit me to be provocative. I'm the chief host, so I'm sure you're going to receive. I'm also a good pilot, so when it seems I'm about to shove your head with a partner, don't worry, I have something else with my other hand. But it's important that we call ourselves out, because skills is not just what students learn. Oh yes, we talk about skills and we think we're only talking about students. The skills that our students are going to learn. Yeah, it's good. I'm also going to talk about that. But skills are also what educators are equipped to, what you're equipped to do. This work you're doing, have you been trained? What you're doing as an educator, what skills do you have to deliver 21st century education, relevant education to your students? What school leaders are trained to manage? In Nigeria, and largely in Africa and the global south, education is really privatized in many, many regards. So we have a lot of private schools. And what you discover is that many school leaders are really not trained to do what they have to do. And the truth is, to be honest, it's not your fault. It's a system thing. Because if the system, there was a system that you came into, I'm sure you have the passion to create something good. You want to create something amazing. You want it to be a school that stands out. A school that, but you just come and you have the money, and just put that together, and then you have the school and it's running. But the real question is, have you been trained? Do you really have what it takes? Have you sought the knowledge needed to really manage that institution, really manage it and design it for the future? Because you are a systems builder. What policymakers understand deeply and what they do not. That's another skill. What policymakers understand deeply and what they do not. How often have we seen very disjointed policies that do not correlate to reality, do not correlate to relevance? How often have we seen that? How often? So when we talk about skills in the language of employability for the students, that's not all we're talking about. That is also important to talk about. But there's a deeper issue that we're trying to adjust. Teaching 21st century learners in the 20th century systems with 19th century assumptions will not work. Teaching 21st century learners inside 20th century systems with the 19th century assumptions, it will not work. Educators are expected to innovate without autonomy. Students are expected to compete globally without exposure. Schools are expected to perform without structural support. This is not a skills gap. It's not a skills gap. I told you, while I'm speaking to you, I'm pointing out that there is a gap. I'm telling you, it's not a skills gap. It's a design gap, because there's something that brought it to that point. There's something that made it that way. What do we mean by society? Education does not exist in isolation. Education produces culture. Education shapes economies. Education influences security. The next webinar we're going to have, part of what he's going to be talking about, the Professor Charles Simone, part of what he's going to be talking about is how education is a national security strategy. Education influences everything: culture, economies, democracy, security. When education system fails, economies weaken, inequality deepens, and extremism finds fertile ground. This is not an abstract. In Nigeria, we have seen how attacks on education, particularly in the north, where no random acts of violence. I repeat, they were no random acts of violence. They were strategic assaults on learning, and still strategic assaults on learning, culture, and future possibilities. Ladies and gentlemen, education is not a soft power. Education is a national infrastructure. And when we neglect it, society fractures quietly and then violently. I'll say it again. When we neglect education, society fractures, first of all, quietly, and then violently. Why do you think we keep having from one coup to another coup to another coup to another coup in different places, in different African countries in the recent days? Look at even in the globalized world, in the westernized world. Look at France. What are the kind of protests that we keep seeing over time in the UK? It's happening everywhere. It tells you that the education system of the day has failed. Of course, we are paying some attention to Nigeria, Africa, the global south, but we're also looking at the global north, the rest of the world. There is a need for redesign. We will start from home. This is a global audience I'm speaking to, but there is a need for a design. So let's be honest. Educators are tired, not because they lack passion. I'm sure you don't lack passion. The fact that you are here speaks to the fact that you don't lack passion. You're tired because systems demand sacrifice without sustainability. Is it your fault? Can inspire you from now to tomorrow. You go back and you don't have money. You don't have money to do what you are inspired to do. You will still want to leave education. Who will blame you? You get a job somewhere else, you want to go. And that's the reason why, for example, even government jobs, even in education, they look at government jobs as, oh, let me just go and be getting the money and then use my time to do something else. That's why our school is so decayed in many ways. Schools are stressed, not because leaders lack ideas, but because competition has replaced purpose. So many competitions, so much competitions. Policies struggle, not because the intent is evil, but because execution is disconnected from reality. So let me ask you a direct question. If the current education system is working, why are so many educators barely surviving? If the current education system is working, why are students so disengaged? Even on this call, when we were in the breakout, someone just sent a message, we learned that school is scam. Can you imagine? Said inside here, it was said here that school is scam. So why are students so disengaged if the system is working? If the education system is working, why is society so anxious about the future? Why is everybody anxious? We're in 2026 now. The new tax law just got into effect. Tell me you're not anxious, except there's a calm and spirit and a peace inside your mind. Tell me you're not anxious of the future. Why are you anxious? If the education system really works, why are you anxious? Because the education system is supposed to determine what happens at different levels of our society. You can blame it on the government, but I can tell you the roots. Because the problem is that we look at things from a fruit level, from a surface level, and we try to just mitigate damages. But if we truly want change, if we truly want to design a future, we must be looking 20 years. We must be looking 50 years. And that is what we're doing. Let me tell you, the impact of this meeting we're having, you will see by the discourse we're going to be having in the next, today, of course, today and then tomorrow. At the end of the day, is so that we can come up with conversations and influence that is able to shift the needle a bit in terms of our policies, shift the needle a bit in terms of our systems. Because I've said it, systems does not just exist on a governmental level. It exists in your school. It exists in your life as an educator. When those things are able to shift, then cultures are able to shift. Learning outcomes will shift. Give it a little time. The life of people will transform. And in, like I said, minimum 20 years. Minimum 20 years. If we can commit to a future by design, minimum 20 years, you begin to see the impact. Of course, there are short-term impacts, but we must be willing to design for 20 years. We must be willing to design for 30 years, for 50 years, for 100 years, for generations yet to come. We must be willing to design for it. So let's look at the present reality. Let's start with educators. We ask teachers to shape minds, to shape values, to shape the future. Yet, you cannot afford your basic dignity. You cannot afford housing. You cannot afford transportation. You cannot afford security. Let me tell you, all of it are part of what we're going to be talking about in this retreat. Don't miss tomorrow's fireside chat in the morning. Don't miss tomorrow's fireside chat. I hope all of you have gotten the program guide for the day, for this entire retreat. Don't miss tomorrow's fireside chat. In fact, don't miss any part of this retreat for any reason. It was carefully curated. We celebrate passion, but we punish sustainability. We demand excellence, but we staff support. It's not a motivation problem. Type it in the chat. It is not a motivation problem. It's a systems problem. I know we're talking to a global audience, but let's take Nigeria as a case study. According to the Universal Basic Education Commission, Nigeria faces a severe shortage of educators. There's an estimated shortfall of 277,537 basic education teachers across the country. School leaders, you are here. I work with schools across the country, across the nation, and the same thing I keep hearing: teachers are scarce, teachers are scarce, teachers are scarce. The ones that will tell you that they are not scarce, they will say, oh, you see, what I had to do is that I had to go to one school like that. I saw somebody that was not being utilized very well. I brought him up, and I'm now paying him this amount of money. So it's become a cutthroat competition. Can you imagine? When you tell teachers that they are critical, yet you don't provide them enough professionals in the classroom, you create pressure points, you create burnout, you create low morale, which our systems then misinterpret as lack of commitment, rather than a structural dysfunction. Let's talk about schools and institutions. Many schools today are not designed for learning. Many of your schools today are not designed for learning. I'm going to see what I'm saying may be uncomfortable, but please stomach what I'm saying because it is speaking to your conscience. Remember, I said it from the beginning, this is a convening of conscience. Ask yourself the real truth. You can tell yourself the truth. You're not designed for learning. Your schools, many of your schools are designed for competition. Not all of them, but many of them are designed for competition. Just look closely. It doesn't seem like it. You may want to defend it immediately, but look closely. Look again. Because programs are copied, not because those programs are going to be very impactful or this. It's just because competitors have them. Curriculums, different things. You hear this school is doing this, doing that, Cambridge, all this and that, trying to copy the global north. What analysis have you made to come to the realization that the global north has gotten it right with education, that we should copy them? No, we should be forging a new path. Yeah, you can say that we are behind, but I can tell you we have different systems, different things, different nuances to this culture, different nuances to the things that we experience that bring a different spice to what we should create. We should forge a new culture, a new pathway that the rest of the world should follow. Are we copying things? Policies are adopted, not because of the fear, not because that those policies are going to be, they are very nice, but just because the fear of being left behind. You put in a system, a structure in your school because, I don't want to be left behind. Teachers are overworked, all in the name of excellence. All in the name of excellence. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, some even go as much as Sunday. Yes, the work of education requires a lot. Yes, I know it does require a lot. But a lot of what you're asking those teachers to do are not what they're supposed to be doing. A lot of what you're asking them to do are what innovation can easily solve. They are what things it can take care of itself without having to burn out those teachers. Because when they are burnt out, then they stop doing the real education. They start doing the things, the grunt work, the manual work. Education is a business of spirit exchange, value exchange. If the teacher doesn't feel enlightened, if you don't feel empowered, if you don't have it in them to give it, you can give them a curriculum, you would only raise zombies. The outcome will be zombies. Children that are they will still come out and still say the same thing: school is scam. We must be intentional. We must dare to redesign. It's not innovation. It's simple FOMO, fear of missing out, disguised as strategy. Countries design education system around what society needs. I'm using Nigeria, for example. We have a glaring skills mismatch. Many graduates lack the communication, critical thinking, and workplace skills that employers require. The labor market reflects this thing I just said now. According to the National Bureau of Statistics, over 53% of Nigerian youths are unemployed, including many universities and polytechnic graduates. I remember when we started this school now earlier. Of course, I've seen this in different multiple layers of organization, but I would see for a startup, an audition that just started, and then I'm seeing someone with doctorate degree, PhDs, and the rest, and they are coming to apply for, and you're seeing the role that these are entry roles. This person should be applying for something, and they are applying for entry roles because what they know, what they have learned, what they have been taught is there's a real disconnect to what society truly needs. And that's why you had one of the breakout rooms, what society currently rewards, what education currently rewards versus what society needs. And this is, like I said, it's not because of lack of potential. The young people don't lack potential. No, our young people are not lazy. I'm not going to quote the person that said it. They are not lazy. They have a lot of potential, but because there's a disconnect between what schools teach and what society really demands. And of course, there is society. Education is not neutral. Yeah, it's not. It applies somewhere. What we're doing, there's a reason why we're doing it. Where education works, economies grow. Where education fails, instability rises. Does it sound like where we are? Does it sound like your nation? We have seen this in our own context. In Nigeria, Boko Haram did not just attack people. No, they're not just attacking people. You have to understand, even the name itself, Boko Haram, means something. You should go and find out. It means Western education is forbidden. That's what it means. Many of you don't know. Western education is forbidden. I was shocked when I found out that that was the reason. That was the meaning of Boko Haram. It's attacking schools. You hear 50 Chibok girls kidnapped, this one kidnapped, that one kidnapped, that one kidnapped. What's going on? Attacking schools, attacking learning, attacking civilization itself. Listen, it is because these extremists called Boko Haram, these extremists, they understand something that we often forget. Control education and you control the culture. Let me give you the impact. Nigeria, as it stands today, we're talking about society. Nigeria, as it stands today, has the largest population, one of the largest population of out-of-school children in the world. Go and check it. I didn't say it's the largest, but has one of the largest population of out-of-school children in the world. And although basic education is legally free in Nigeria, about 10.5 million children aged 5 to 14 are out of school. Now listen to the shocking part. Roughly 50% of these numbers I just mentioned now, of these 10.5 million, roughly 50% of these numbers are in this northern region where insecurity, socioeconomic barriers are the strongest. So guess what? Millions of Nigerian children have not even, you are still saying that millions of Nigerian children are behind. They are not just behind. Millions of Nigerian children are not merely behind. They have not even entered the race. It's a societal failure, not an individual one. So ladies and gentlemen, teachers, educators, school leaders, policymakers, education is national security. Education is economic strategy. Education is cultural survival. If we're struggling in any of these three things I just mentioned, security, economy, culture, just look at education. It is because education has failed. When systems fail, society will pay the price heavily. So the question to you as I begin to wrap up, you don't even need to ask whether things need to change. You already know that things need to change. The question is whether we are brave enough to change it. Are you brave enough to design it? Systems are hard to change. I know. Not because they are perfect. It's one of the reasons why I didn't want to do anything within the education space, because it's very difficult to convince educators. I'm telling you. The ones who are supposed to be the most malleable, the most easy to learn, the teachable, and I can tell you from experience, educators are some of the most difficult people to teach anything. But not you. Somebody type, not me. I want to see it in the chat. Type, not me. So I want to say this plainly. Systems are not hard to change because they are perfect. It's because it's familiar. That thing that you stick to, that's how we've been doing it. We've been doing it like this. It's just because it's familiar. It's not that hard to change. It's not because it's perfect, but it's become too familiar and you are just used to it. You don't feel like we don't change this entire thing. But you must reimagine. You must rethink. Who was it designed for? Because if the current system was producing the future we want, we will not be here today. Come on now. We will not be having educators retreat. We'll probably be having educators ball, running. And I don't know, maybe doing something else. I'll be using something else, doing something else. But it's because the current system is not producing the future that we want. So here's the pivot. Systems don't change because they are criticized. We're not just criticizing them. No, we don't just criticize. No, this is an ecosystem builder. This is an aggregator. Systems change because people decide to redesign them. That people is you. We're not waiting for government. We're not waiting for another person. It is you. The government we're talking about is you. The systems we're talking about is you. The structures we're talking about is you. It's you and you that is hearing me. So if I'm speaking and you are not relating to what I'm saying, there's something wrong with your conscience. You are the one who has designed the world the way it is. And pass the blame all around. It is you, it is me. The system is me, it is you. This retreat is an invitation. It's an invitation not to complain, but to reimagine. For educators, you're not just employees. You are the structure of the system. You are the most important designers. The most important designers. Because you're the ones who get to relate with the students one-on-one. School leaders. You don't just manage schools. You create cultures that shape lives. We must get more innovators to this conversation. We must get more innovators to this conversation. Because as innovators, you cannot just build for education. You have to build with educators. You must build with educators. You cannot just build for trends. You cannot just build, habitually sit down and build whatever I'm bringing into the education system. No. What are you building? Who is it for? Build it with them, for God's sake. Policymakers. Policy without practice is simple paperwork. Simple. Nothing else. Simple and short is paperwork. Reform without execution is an illusion. Leave your office. Get into the streets. Get into the schools. Sit down. Have real conversations. Find out. This thing we have designed, how is it impacting the life of millions around the world? We can play around it. It's not, listen, it's not just it's not a government. I'm sure Honorable they will speak to this more tomorrow. This is not just, it's not just an office. Nigeria is a country of almost 250 million people. You design a system that is being used across different systems. Then as school leaders as well, you now have to be the one to design that system that works in your school, and you have hundreds and potentially thousands of students that have to live through those systems. You must think, sit down. How many of the schools have research and development centers? How many of your schools have research and development centers? How many of your schools have think tanks that you can sit down and think? All you are doing is strategy. Let us stress test this policy. Let's stress test this particular thing we have put in. Let's stress test this. Why is it? Is it working? Do you keep in touch with your alumni even? When they leave, so there are different levels. We know there's basic, there's secondary, and then there's tertiary. What metrics do you have to follow through that student when they left your primary school? What became of them when they were in secondary school, though they are no longer with you? When they left your secondary school, what became of them when they got into the university, though they are no longer with you? When they left the university, what became of them? What became of them? If we raise a generation of people who are not prepared, they will burn us down. They will become the challenges, the issues that you cry about tomorrow. And let me tell us, education cannot outsource its development. No. What we can do for ourselves, no one will do it better for us. Education's development, education's reform, education's redesign must happen by you. And that is why you are here. That is why you are here. And there is something we must confront very honestly. Society may not always place the right value on you. Society may not always place the right value on you. The government may not immediately begin to place the value on you. The next person might not immediately begin to tell you that you are valuable. But educators must understand who they truly are. You must know who you are. Oh no, you must know who you are. The first redesign that has to happen is in your mind. It has your mind, first of all. Who am I? You have to understand, when we say you are architects of the future, Maxine said this so wonderfully during the 4.0 edition. It says that you are architects of the future. You are architects of the future. You have to understand what it means. What does it mean? In the next segment, Professor Charles is going to be taking architecting society. What's an architectural design? You are architects of the future, whether you know it or not. You are not replaceable. You are not incidental. You are not optional. You are designers of the future. And we must stop copying solutions that are not, that they don't fit into our content. Stop copying things. Say it is, I don't want to call names, but please, you know all these things we are doing in our schools, in our places of work. Stop copying. We're trying to copy the West, copy this, copy that. Let's look at relevance. The Global North has lessons, but not templates. I can assure you. Britain, America, whatever, they have lessons, but not templates. Stop copying blindly. Relate it to your, and the worst part is we copy all these things and we make our students come to school every single day. Saturday, I know a school that they come to school, the children come to school on Saturdays. They come on Sundays, yet they are in school from Monday to Friday. What time will that student have to learn anything else apart from academics to become who they really need to be in life? What time? What time? Are you raising zombies? Are you not hearing the cry of the ones who have passed through the same systems to come out to tell you that school is scam? Why are they telling you that school is scam? Is it because it's scam? No, it's because there's a design that you need to reimagine. We must forge our own paths. We must learn from our mistakes. Make mistakes with remorse, no problem. Learn from our mistakes, both our own mistakes, what are the mistakes that the Global North has also made. And then we must design for relevance. We must design for relevance. So tonight I invite you to do 3 things, because the retreat spans today and tomorrow. I don't want you to be in a hurry. First things first, open your heart to the conversations that are ahead. Open your heart. All I'm doing, all this keynote is just to prepare your mind to realize, first of all, that there's a problem, and to realize that you can solve it. So open your heart, not defensively. Oh, he said, they said, he said, they said, let me attack. No, it's not true. No. Not selectively. I will take this one, I will keep that one. No. Open your heart honestly. Honestly, a tree does not grow in isolation. Nobody knows it all. Nobody knows it all. And that's why we're here together. Secondly, I want you to dare to imagine something better. Dare to imagine something better. The fact that you are here in this call already proves that you believe that something better exists. So since you're going to be here, why not open your mind and dare to imagine something better? And finally, education must commit to unity. We must commit to unity. There's so much competition. So much competition. And thank God for platforms like this. We must commit to unity. Institutions must unite. Institutions must unite. Yes. Must unite. I've said this before. If we compete in agriculture, we are competing over commodities. If we compete in any other sector, there is an object of trade that we are competing over. But when we compete in education, who is the object of trade? Who are we competing over? The future of these children? No, mustn't be. Mustn't be. Mustn't be. It's the reason why we have a lot of our adulterated systems. But when you look at education for what it truly is, you would know you don't have all it takes. No, you don't. Don't deceive yourself. You don't have all it takes. Collaboration is important. Partnership is important. Learning from one another is important. Don't compete. We must unite. We must unite. Institutions must unite. Educators must unite. Ladies and gentlemen, education must unite. It's a call to partnership. Education is an ecosystem, not silos. There's a saying that says it takes a village. You can complete it. It takes a village, right? To raise a child. That village is made up of systems. The future will not be designed. It will not be redesigned by chance, because there's a current design. It will not be redesigned by chance. It will not be redesigned by outsiders. Make no mistake, it will not. It will be redesigned by educators, and it will be by design. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor, my privilege to welcome you to the 2026 Global Educators Retreat. Thank you.